Hey there guys, it's Lee here. So thank you so much for purchasing a Microminer. In this video is going to be a getting started guide. So I'm going to go through the basics of getting started with the Microminer. So the Microminer, you should have one that maybe looks like this if you picked up a starter kit, or you might have one that looks like this if you picked up the bare bones kit. It doesn't really matter which one you purchase. The main primary difference is the case and the heatsink, and also this one has a few accessories. With the bare bones one, it doesn't have those extra accessories, but for the initial setup you will need a HDMI adapter and also a USB, micro USB to USB adapter also. So let's jump into it. I'll explain exactly everything that you're going to learn in this video. So getting started is really the bare bone basics. What you need to do to plug in the device to get up and running with it. I'll show you how to connect to Wi-Fi, set up a SSH so you can access the device remotely, and also the first kind of commands to get the miners up and running. So you're going to learn all those few basics in this video, and it will take probably around about 5 minutes to get you up and running with this device. So let's jump into it. We'll look at the connectors and how to plug everything in first of all. Okay, just start by going through all of the connectors on the device. So here we have the starter kit version, so you've got a case and a heatsink. If you haven't already put that on, follow the other video and get set up with your case and a heatsink. So I'll show you the connectors. So on the right hand side we have the micro SD card, so it just slides in and slides out with the label side up. It does actually go in that quite easy, but because of the camera angle makes it a little bit more fiddly getting in the way there. So yeah, your micro SD card is on the right. Then you have this is a micro HDMI connector. So you're going to need an adapter like this before you can put in your full size HDMI cable. So you put in your HDMI cable there, and that goes off to your monitor or your TV. Next up we have this, which is like a USB dongle. So it's a micro USB connector on the end, and then a full size like a USB connector on the other end. So this is allows you to add in a USB keyboard and mouse, or a USB keyboard. So we'll pop that into that slot there. And on the end of it, like I say, we are going to put in our wireless keyboard adapter. So that means that we can type commands directly into this. Later on we can set up it to be used remotely, but initially we need to use this setup so you can interface with the device directly. Next up we have a USB cable. So this goes, sorry for that scraping there. So this goes into the end here, and that's going to give you your USB power. You'll also see a green LED power light come on, and that gets you up and running. So this USB power connector, you can plug it into a charger or any USB port that's basically on, powered on. So that's all your connectors. Once you've done all that, you should see a display on your screen, and it will look a little something like this. So you see lots of code and lots of green OKs, so that's what you're looking for. That's like a normal startup process. And then it's going to complete and you'll be on what's called the command prompt, and from there you can enter your commands. Okay, so we're now on the command prompt. You can see that green writing followed by the little $sign, and from this point we can enter our commands. So what we're going to do is set up our Wi-Fi so we can connect to the device, or the device can connect to the internet, and we're also going to set up SSH, and then we can start up our mining process. So we need to type sudo raspi -config, and this takes us into a config menu. From here we can change lots of characteristics on the device, but specifically we are going to set up our Wi-Fi options. So if we go down to, I believe it is network options, and then we need to do option 2, so the second one down. So just use the cursor up and down arrows and then press enter. So we need to enter our SSID, so your identification for your Wi-Fi. So we enter that there. So just enter your Wi-Fi ID exactly as you see it if you're kind of like scanning through your network or looking on your phone. Also make a note, the numeric keypad numbers might not work, so use the numbers on the top row of your keyboard. So enter your SSID and then your password for your Wi-Fi connection and press enter. The next option that we want to set is for your SSID. So if you go down to option number 5, which is interfacing options, and press enter, and you want to enable the next option, so it's SSH. So select that, and it says, do you want to enable SSH? And then just press on yes. So yes, we do. And you just get a confirmation. That's okay. That's cool. So there's a few other options in there, but that's outside the scope of this video. So then we can just go to finish. So the next thing that you want to do is probably to confirm your IP address for the device now. So what should have happened in the background, the Wi-Fi should have connected, it should have connected to your router, and then your router should have assigned a IP address to this device. So to find that device, the easiest way to do it is to type if, oh, we want it in lowercase, ifconfig, and then you can see there where it's got WLAN 0, and then we've got iNet, and then it's 192.168.0.74. So that's the IP address of this device, and what that means is that we can now connect the device remotely via SSH using a program like PuTTY, and we connect to it. Basically, we can connect to this device from anywhere on a local network. You can also connect outside of that, but primarily our local network. So it makes it much easier to interact with the device. You can copy and paste commands and things like that rather than manually typing everything in. But I'll show you that in just a second. First, let me just show you how the miner looks when it's up and running, when it's kind of in this interface. So we'll start off with the Varium miner. So all the miners are set up and kind of pre-installed. All you need to do is kind of enter the commands. So I'll have all the commands and everything on the same page as this getting started guide, so you can kind of copy and paste or just manually type them. So to start off with the Varium miner, it's going to be cd Varium miner. So what we're doing is we're going into the Varium miner folder. So change directory to the Varium miner folder and then press enter. So you can see that the command line has changed slightly. So we've got /Varium miner, and then we've got our $sign. So now we're in the Varium miner folder, and we can issue commands to the Varium miner. So the first time you do this, it's a bit of typing out, but afterwards you can then just use your up and down arrow keys to kind of like scroll back through the stuff that you've previously typed. So it makes it a bit easier in the future. So this is the command that we're gonna type to get the Varium miner started. So the first part is the call to the CPU miner, the Varium CPU miner. The N is the algorithm, and then we need to add in the pool details. So it's Stratum plus TCP, and then we're going to enter our pool details. So this is for Varium, so I'll be using obviously my account for mining. You guys need to create your own accounts on the pools. Don't use my accounts. Make sure you create your own account on the pool, and it will give you a username and work name that you can work with. So you would see that in my other videos, how to set that up. It's pretty basic stuff. Just go to the pool and create an account effectively, and then use those details. So that's the pool that we're going to be connecting to, and also the pool. Now we enter our username and a worker name. And the password, you don't have to worry about security of the password because it's only connecting for the pool, so you're not having to worry about massive amounts of security really. And then we need to add -T1. So this is -T is the number of CPU threads that you're going to be using. This is a single core processor that runs at 1000 megahertz. So we're just going to be using T-1. So that's the command line to start the miner. So we enter all of that, which is, I know it's quite long-winded, but like I say, after you've done it once, you can use the arrow keys, or if you use the PuTTY shell to work remotely, it's much easier in the future. So we've got our command line, and we're going to hit enter. And what you should see is that the Varian miner starts up. It says it started with one thread. It's going to connect to the pool, and then it will continue mining onwards. So what you should see is a hash rate, and then you should start seeing accepted shares. With some of the miners, particularly some of the CPU multi-miners, some of them are quite slow to start, so bear that in mind. In some of my notes, I've got the ones that take a long time to start, but some of them can take up to 10 minutes to get started. So just be patient with it and let it run just for a little while before you kind of make any changes. So you can see here, this is what the Varian miner looks like when it's just started up. Obviously, as it continues running, you'll see a little bit more information about it. So what you want to do is if you just want to leave this running in the window, you can. But if you close the window or exit out of it, the miner will obviously stop. So what I'll show you in the next part is how to access it remotely, and also how to set up your miner so that it mines remotely in the background. You don't have to interact with it or anything like that. So to exit out of this, what we need to do is we press the Control key and C key. So you can see there, now we've gone back to the basic command prompt. And if we press CD and enter, it's going to basically take us all the way back to the beginning. Now from here, just to show you how those cursor keys work. So if you press the up key, it shows us like the last commands that we went through. So this time if we go to CD Varian miner, and then we go up again, enter the command. So you can see it's much easier after you've typed them initially. So it's quite long-winded first of all, but afterwards you can use the cursor keys and it's much easier to scroll through. So again, Control and C, and that's that. So that's it for this section. That's for the basics of getting up and running and starting with the miner. What I'll show you now is how to connect remotely and also how to get it set up so that you can have the miner started automatically and things like that. So you're going to move over to the other computer now. Okay, so we're back on the main computer now, and I'll show you how to connect remotely to the Microminer. So I'm on Windows and I'll use a program called Putty. There's also options for your phone or Mac or whatever you got, but I prefer Putty. So we start this up, and then we've got a host name or IP address. So what we want to type is pi at, and then the IP address of your Microminer on your local network. So for us it was 192.168.0.74. So you'll have a very similar looking IP address, and then you want to go to open. So you see here we've got using the username pi, and then we've got pi at the IP address, and it asks you for a password. So the password is rasp0, and press enter. So you can see now it looks very much the same as that very first command screen that we interacted with. It's also important to note that this is kind of like a separate terminal window. So what you enter here, you will not see on your other screen if you still have that connected. It's like effectively it's like a new window. So don't worry if the commands are not duplicated over. Like I say, the best explanation is that it is a new window. So from here, as before, we can enter our commands. So again, I'll just show you with the Varian miner. I've got some notes here, and there's a lot on these notes, so don't worry too much. I'll make a much simpler version for you. So if we copy our notes, so it's CD Varian miner, and to paste, if you use our mouse, the right button on the mouse, that pastes that in there, and then our command line. So we're into the Varian miner folder, and then paste again, and you can see it starts up the miner like so, just as it did before, except now we're controlling this remotely. Again, as we had in the first instance, what happens is, because this is a remote shell, if we close this window, like if I was to close it now, the miner would not continue running. So what we need to do is, there's a separate way of doing that. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Let me just go through and show you how to get set up with just a couple of the other miners, and then I'll show you how to do like the automatic start and things like that. So again, Control and C. So now if I show you to get set up with the Magicoin miner, so we're going to go back to the beginning, so it's CD, and then we're going to go into the Magicoin miner folder. So it's this folder here, and then we want to start the miner. So that's the command line start. So all of these miners, they all start pretty much the same way. So it's a call to the miner, Sometimes there'll be like a call to the algorithm, but it only mines one coin. And then you have your mining pools. So always make sure you create an account at these mining pools. Otherwise you'll get stratum errors and it'll cause confusion. So whatever pool that you want to mine to, just create an account there first. And enter. So what it's going to do is start the Magic Coin miner, obviously connects to the pool and starts mining just the same as the other miners. You'll start seeing your hash rate and you'll also start seeing accepted shares. So that's how that Magic Coin miner gets started running. So again, Control and C, I'm just going to exit out of that. CD, so it takes us back to the beginning, and now I'll show you how to get set up with the CPU Miner Multi. So this CPU Miner Multi, it supports all of these different coins and algorithms that you can see on the screen. So it's important to bear in mind that some of them are GPU mineable and some of them are ASIC mineable. So those particular coins, you can mine them, but you're going to be up against some very stiff competition. So pick and choose exactly what is a good fit for you to use. So if I show you how to start mining, we'll take a look at Ravencoin, for example. So we want to go into the CPU multi folder. So we're in that folder now. And then this is the command line. So I'll break this down for you because it's a little bit more complicated than the other ones. So the first part is the call to the miner. Then we've got -A, and then we've got this part here, which is the algorithm. So if you look on this notepad, and I'll put all these available for you. So these are all the algorithms. So script, Allium, Blake, Fresh. So all you need to do is, so for example, if you wanted to mine Fresh, we would just swap out where it says X16R, and we'll just swap that for Fresh and obviously connect to the pools. So the next part is the pool. And then the next part is our username and password. So depending on the coin that you're mining, some will have a specific username and worker name that you need to log in with, and other ones you can just mine to your wallet address, but you need to check with the pool beforehand before you start doing that. So this is it for mining Ravencoin. So we press enter, and as before, it says it connects to the pool, mining with one thread. You will get some reports on the difficulty, and then we'll start seeing a hash rate and accepted shares. Bear in mind, as I said before, sometimes it can take quite a long time, up to about 10 minutes to get the miner fully up and running before you start seeing those hash rates and shares coming through. So be patient with it if you don't see anything initially. Like I say, just give it up to about 10 minutes and it will get set up and started up for you. So Control and C. So we just exit out of that. Like I say, I've got some other sort of coins here. So for example, a Pigeon coin. So actually we've got Turtle coin here. So this is probably a actually forget that. I was just going to show you another miner, but you can still see here. So this is one for Denarius. So you can just see it's the CPU miner, and then it's a Tribus. So you can just see the different coins have different algorithms, and that's how it's done there, okay? So what if you want your miner to continue running when you close the window, or if you you want it to sort of run automatically? So there's kind of two ways of going about it. So the first one is using Screen. So I'm not going to go too in depth into this. You can look up the guide online, but basically you want to type Screen bash, and what happens is effectively you've opened up a new window, but it's in the same window. So if we just give it a second to refresh, so you can see we're at the command prompt again. But what happens is, like I say, the best description is we are in a new window, but in the same window. But the point being is that when we enter our commands, again, sorry if I go back and I'll start up the Very Miner, for example. Sorry, actually we'll just use this one because it comes first. The Magic Coin Miner. So this time we start at the Magic Coin Miner, but we're in this new screen. So what that means is that if we close this window now, what's going to happen is the miner is going to continue to run in the background because it's in that new screen terminal window. So although we've closed the main window, it will continue to run on. So that's quite good if you kind of want to set something up and then close it down and just let it run off in the background. So that's quite a good way of doing that. So if we open up PuTTY again, and if we connect, using the same details, so we're going to open, and our password raspb0. Okay, so we're back at the main window. So now if we type screen -R, it will reconnect to that other screen that's running in the background. So you can see here that we've now reconnected back to that screen, and then from there we can obviously see that the miners continue to run. So if we press Control and C, we can kind of exit out of that. That's fine. So I'll put some links to the kind of a few of the commands for the screen, because there's a few different things to open up new windows and close windows and things like that. So that's a little bit more beyond the scope of this video, and I don't want to make it too complicated. So the next thing that I want to show you, so for example, if you kind of want to set up your miner, so if you want to kind of make it so that it starts automatically, mines in the background, you don't need a screen connected, or you don't need to plug into it remotely or anything like that. All you need to do is plug in your power and it will start mining for you. So I'll show you how to do that. So what you want to do is use this command at the bottom. Again, I'll paste it for you, so you can just copy and paste it. So it's sudo space nano, and then what we're going to do is we're going to edit this file here. So you type that in, and it's going to open up a effectively it's like a notepad. And if you go down to the bottom where you've got this exit 0, you want to write above that, so the last line that you want is this exit 0. But above that we can type our mining commands. So for example, if we wanted our Magicoin miner to start and run remotely and automatically, what we need to do is we have the call for the miner, but we also need to enter the directory for it. So all of the directories, they're all done like this. So it's /home/pi/ and then whatever the folder is. So with the Magicoin miner, it's m CPU miner -v2. So it's wherever the miner is, and then it's the miner kind of the command line that you would normally use to start the miner itself. Then what you want to do is press Control and O, and it will say file name to write, and then it will say the same name. So then you want to press enter, and then you want to press Control and X, and now we've kind of exited out of that. So what will happen now is if we completely disconnected the power and plugged it in elsewhere, the miner will automatically start up in the background. So it's going to go through that whole process and it's going to start mining in the background. You don't need to have any visual displays plugged in. You don't need to connect to it remotely or anything like that. It will just completely start up and run in the background. So I think that's going to be quite useful for you guys. So what you might want to do is a little bit of testing, find out what miners and stuff that you want to use, what ones you like using, and then afterwards, like I say, you can enter that file, edit it, and then you can just plug in the miner anywhere with a USB connection, and it will just mine in the background, and you can basically forget about it. Obviously, if the miner powers off, when it reboots, it will reconnect and it will start mining. So that's quite a useful thing there. So that's how you get set up with mining automatically. Okay guys, so I think I'll leave this section here. All the links and everything that you need, I'll put everything in a copy and pastable file, so it's easy for you guys to get set up with that. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. Hopefully you have found it useful and you're now up and running with your Microminer. If you did run into any sort of problems, or you're stuck or not too sure on some things, pop a comment down below, or you can contact me via email and I'll be sure to respond to you guys and help you out with whatever you need. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for purchasing a Microminer, and I really do appreciate your support. I'll see you guys on my future videos. Cheers, bye bye.